Alright guys, today we're making sourdough pizza crust. I've been meaning to get this video out sooner. Been kind of back and forth from working at home and back on site, so finally getting it out for you. If you don't have a sourdough starter, don't worry. I'll link some recipes below from some great channels, and let's get into it. Alright, so first we're going to add our lukewarm water, yeast, and our honey or molasses to the mixing bowl and let it sit for about 5 minutes. After several minutes, you should start seeing some small bubbles form from the yeast. If you do not see these bubbles, then your yeast may be dead, and you'll want to start over with a different yeast packet before moving forward. While we're waiting, stir in any liquid from your sourdough starter back into the mixture before measuring 1 cup. Once your yeast and honey mixture has started to activate, you can add your sourdough starter to the mixing bowl. If you don't have a sourdough starter, then you can substitute an extra half a cup of water into the mixing bowl now, and then add an extra half cup of flour into the main recipe. Once your starter and yeast are all mixed in, add the flour and salt. Mix these to combine and then knead with the dough hook on a stand mixer for 5 to 7 minutes until the dough pulls away and cleans the inside of the bowl. If you don't have a stand mixer, just knead the dough by hand for 10 to 12 minutes until it becomes less sticky. Once our dough is kneaded, remove it from the bowl and we're going to shape it into a tight ball using a clean counter or smooth work surface. You're going to pull the dough towards you while rotating it counterclockwise and using your pinkies to tuck the bottom of the dough under itself. It will gradually get tighter and more smooth as you work it into a ball. Now we grease our bowl with some more oil and we place the dough ball back in it. We're going to cover this with plastic wrap and let it sit at room temperature for anywhere from 2 to 4 hours or until it's doubled in size. You can go longer if you'd like, and the times will vary depending on location and your room temperature. While this is proofing, it's also a great time to feed your sourdough starter. Since we used a cup of starter, we're going to add 1 cup of flour and 1 cup of water back into the starter and mix it well. Just let it sit on the counter next to your dough at room temperature with the lid on loose for a few hours. This is also a great time to figure out what we're putting on our pizzas, and we can prep any toppings that you might need, and then just store them in the fridge until you're ready to use. It's been about 4 hours now and our dough has doubled in size. We're going to remove it and divide it evenly into 2 smaller dough balls, again using the tuck and pull method. Let them rest on your counter or work surface for about 15 minutes. Just cover them each with a large clean bowl or a lightly damp towel to prevent them from drying out. So if you're not ready to use your dough right away, you can put it in the fridge for up to 24 hours. Just put them on a baking sheet, coat them with a little bit of olive oil, and then layer some saran wrap on them. They'll be good for a day or so. Just pull them out 2 to 3 hours before you're ready to use them, and then continue on with the next step. It's been about 4 hours since I fed the starter, and you can see it's already risen about 1 inch. All these small bubbles indicate that it's been well fed, and so it's ready to go back in the fridge. Once the dough balls have bench rested, we can go ahead and preheat our oven to 450 degrees Fahrenheit. Now we are ready to flour our work surface and shape these into pizza crusts. I like to flatten mine into a round disc about 1 inch thick and then start forming an edge. Then you can continue to stretch it out with whatever method works for you. Be sure not to overstretch or the center of your crust might tear. And if your crusts are pulling back as you're stretching them, you can cover them again with a damp towel and let it sit for another 10 minutes or so. Just make sure you watch it so it doesn't dry out. Once your crusts don't spring back after being stretched, you're good to go. I like to put mine on a baking sheet with cornmeal or semolina underneath. It helps act as ball bearings just so the pizza slides around more easily. Now you can sauce and top your pizzas any way you'd like. Bake them without the cheese first for 10 minutes at 450 degrees Fahrenheit. Then remove them from the oven, add your cheese, and go directly back into the oven for another 5 to 7 minutes. You can broil it for the last 2 to 3 minutes if you'd like. Just watch it carefully so it doesn't burn. And there you have it, guys. It takes a little bit of patience in the beginning, but these crusts are definitely worth the time. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments below and I'll be sure to answer them. Please like this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And you can click here for my most recent pizza video. Thanks for watching.